Collegedale traffic, 4 Romeo Lima, departing runway 3, Collegedale. Ready.
Right. Here we go. I'm Erick Baker, and I've lived in Tennessee my entire life. However, for the last decade, touring the world, I've only seen it passing by from a windshield. But finally, Tennessee is calling me back where I belong. There's a place you've never been that's right where you want to be. I want to rediscover how great my home state is, and I want you to come with me. Uncharted. As we slowly draw the curtains on fall and watch as the mercury fails to rise, there is but one certainty. Winter is coming. And with the cold on the way, we firmly hold on and try to make the most of the last few warm days of the season in preparation for that time of year when the world freezes. I always feel very disconnected from the outdoors in the wintertime. It's a hard time of year for me, mainly because I am not a fan of the cold. I was born with very thin skin, and the hair on my chest can only keep me so warm. Often my only exposure to the outside world is the dash from house to car to place, place to car, and car back to house. And as the winter days drag by and I sit watching the outside world from the inside warmth found behind a window pane, I usually start to get the feeling of being trapped, wishing for something to do, searching for a way to fight back against that frosty air. So today we're off to show that even though the ground is frozen, the world is not standing still. There's still a lot to do, learn, and experience. Today on Tennessee Uncharted, we're putting on our puffy coats and mothball-scented sweaters and stepping out into the cold in Birchwood, Tennessee, at the 24th annual Sandhill Crane Festival to take a look at a few winter activities to help battle the winter blues. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I am not an observant person. So you're probably right if you have a sneaking suspicion that there are a lot of things in my life that I fail to notice. For example, I still really don't pay that much attention to birds. However, that all changed when I saw and heard my first sandhill crane. These birds are huge, like prehistoric huge. The sandhill crane stands over 4 feet tall with a wingspan stretching more than 6 feet wide. However, as magnificent as these birds are, this species was nearly decimated in the East by breeding habitat loss and overhunting in the 1800s. Today, thanks to the efforts of folks like the TWRA and places like the Hiwassee Wildlife Refuge, the population of eastern sandhills is rebounding from an estimated 50 birds during the mid-1920s to a current population of more than 89,000.
These birds are imprinted on migrating through here since the early 80s when the population numbers started going up. The sandhill crane was in dire need of protection. It was really a watermark day when you saw some of these birds migrate over. And I know looking at this now, it's hard to believe, but it really was. And we kept track of how many we saw, which direction they were going, what day it was.
Right.
And slowly over time, as the population increased, these birds imprinted on migrating through here. This area has been cropped for waterfowl for 50, 60 years now. They said, goodness, there's a lot of groceries here. And as the numbers went up, a few started staying a little longer, and I think we actually have birds that this is probably as far south as they go.
And they stay
come here and they're here until they leave. Now we have some, of course, that go hop on. I mean, they still have cranes in South Georgia and North Central Florida, but a lot of these birds, when our numbers get up to about here, they'll stagnate. They'll stay 30 to 40,000 on the lake-wide for a couple of months, and then it'll start going down. And as a matter of fact, you know, we're in the third week, going on the third week of January. In the next couple of weeks, a good south wind, a lot of these birds will probably go home. These birds are prehistoric. All the Native American populations up and down this river, the fire pits that have been excavated, all have sandhill crane bones in them.
Okay.
I mean, it was a staple of everyday life for the Native Americans. You know, you go back 5,000 to 8,000 years, woodland and on back. Then before that, the cranes were around even before then. I mean, they're an old bird, and they're a long live bird. I mean, they live a long time.
So as far as just on a personal note with you, I mean, having spent 30 years or however long, my math's a little off. Yeah. But what do these birds mean to you?
It kind of mirrors the timeline, the deer, the turkey. You know, deer in Tennessee was nothing. The turkeys was just about extirpated, few bands here and there. And the sandhill crane's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
So as time has marched on, so have these. And of all the species I named, I mean, they were all here way before we were. So I'm glad to see them back.
I really honestly think today might be a record day. I don't think we've had this many people here that I can remember ever. So
They
it's
must
really
have known
good.
I was going to be
I know,
here.
it must be you, man.
Why are people here?
Mainly for the cranes. We're here on the refuge. The cranes are the main attraction.
Okay.
It's once in a lifetime event for some people probably, because the cranes are here this time of the year. So if you want to see them, you get here now. Very few places do you have this many unique birds, the cranes,
Right.
in one area at one time. And this is the 24th annual festival. So over time, it has grown in that way too. So I think there's no doubt at all that as we speak, this is probably, for the wintertime, the premier wildlife spectacle in the Southeast. Don't get your fix on YouTube.
Yeah.
Come out here and stand and get cold, get your toes cold, because it feels good to go back in and get them warmed back up. And look at the stuff that's happening around you, because it's going on around us every day. These critters, not just cranes, but nature, wildlife is happening around us. So you have to get out there to experience and see that.
So whether you're an avid birder or you've never seen a sandhill crane before, this festival represents an extraordinary opportunity to witness a natural phenomenon that is truly unforgettable. Looking out over the waves of white wings that carpet the refuge this time of year, there's no denying that the grounds here hold more meaning than just the frosty faces of the hills that fill them. Luckily, back at the auditorium, there are dozens of vendors, charitable organizations, and artisans arranged to tell the tales of the history that is housed here at the Hiwassee. From crafts to facts, their booths offer more than just a chance to cheat the chill. In fact, one presentation in particular painted the significance of past populations in black and white. You're with TVA, which is the Tennessee Valley Authority.
Yes, which is, we manage the Tennessee River system and its tributaries. And so all of our land is located along that Tennessee River and the tributaries, which is where Native Americans have settled for over 12,000 years. So our land is very rich in archaeological history. We have over 11,500 archaeological sites that have been recorded on that land so far, and we've only surveyed about 35% of our land.
It's also important to recognize that modern Native American tribes are connected to these sites because this is where this is their ancestral homeland. So we want to help them maintain that connection to the past, and we don't want those sites destroyed if there's no reason for that to happen.
Well, and that's it is a living history.
Exactly.
And that's, you're talking about preserving them and erosion, but also digging and all of that. And that leads me to you, Sean. I mean, tell me a little bit about what you do and how that is helping with preserving these sites.
Sure, this is a ground penetrating radar unit. It consists of the control unit, which is the brain of the instrument, and then there's an antenna down at the bottom, and basically This instrument sends a radar signal into the ground, and it measures things that are in the ground and reflects off anything that's contrasting with the surrounding soil in the ground. That could be a modern pipe, it could be a building foundation, and in this case, we're looking for Native American artifacts and features that are in the ground. So we walk along and collect data in a grid, and then we come back to our office and we create 3D maps of what's in the ground, and we can actually see all the things that are buried there without having to excavate. Archaeologists thought until recently that there was nothing left at Hiawassee, essentially nothing worthwhile to investigate.
Yeah.
And what we've learned from the geophysical investigation is that that's not true. There's actually a lot more stuff out there, not just that there's stuff left in the ground, but that the size of that village is unlike anything anyone knew about. So we're learning just a completely new perspective on Hiawassee Island that was not possible before.
So what does that mean for the future, or what?
What we knew about Hiawassee Island up until 3 months ago is fairly well established. What we know about Hiawassee now, 3 months later, is all those questions are reopened, and our interpretations have to be revised, because the data we have just shed incredible new light on what was there, what is there.
Right.
And it's fascinating. I mean, as a professional archaeologist, this is the highlight of my career. And I can't imagine where it getting any better from here, but this is a place that I never thought I'd get a chance to work in. To be working with Aaron in particular, but TVA in general, this is exciting stuff. So,
it is exciting.
Up top on that, huh? Give it up, yeah. While the festival is a celebration of the thousands of cranes that visit this area each year, a portion of the refuge is also set aside as a sanctuary for safeguarding the memory of migration of a different sort. This area lies near the center of the ancestral land of the Cherokee Nation and has served as a significant crossroad in Native cultures for centuries. Today, it's also the location of the Cherokee Removal Memorial Park. Dedicated to those that traveled, toiled, and perished along what is known as the Trail of Tears, this park is a multi-purpose facility. And from the educational exhibits to the winding walkways that illustrate the journey these families faced, this park provides visitors with the opportunity to picture the past in the present. These guys had so little, but yet thrived and were able to make some amazing pieces.
I think everybody should come and pay a visit here just to know the history of America and know where the things come from that we have today and how much influence the Native people have on today's society still that people don't even notice. Knowing where we come from, knowing our past, it helps us to know our future. It helps us not to make same mistakes that we've made in the past.
Well said.
And I think that's important.
There are some chapters in our history books that many of us would just rather skip over. Pages left unturned as if they never happened. But the farther we get from history, the more it can seem like fiction rather than a true account of our yesterdays. To many, the tale of the Trail of Tears is not common knowledge. But in a world where human rights have never meant more, the Cherokee Removal Memorial Park is a sacred site preserving a part of our past we can't afford to set aside. Today I get to ride in this plane that you see behind me, and I couldn't be more excited about it. Sometimes a different point of view of something you've spent your whole life staring at can redefine your appreciation for it. The land in this area is a rich refuge that's shown me so much more than I first expected. But there's only so much you can see standing on the ground. So I figured if anyone could help me get a grasp on the grand views and winding waterways that keep the cranes coming back each year, it would be Ron Lowry. With his award-winning aerial work, Ron is a pilot and photographer who's been providing the Southeast region with the finest in aerial photos for over 35 years. And his book, Tennessee River, Sparkling Gem of the South, is a testament to his dedication to aerial artistry and passion to raise awareness about not only the beauty, but also the importance of the Tennessee River and how it affects our lives. Tell me what we have here behind us.
Well, I named it Cloud Chaser because I built it. Me and my son built it.
Okay.
Use it for exploring and taking pictures.
Okay.
And I'm
so you intentionally left the doors and windows out then?
Yeah, we didn't run out of money.
Okay.
That's the way I like it. See, ultimate visibility.
Yeah.
You got, the gears and the wing and propellers, everything's behind it. Originally, it's called an air cam, and it was invented or developed for National Geographic to film over the African Congo rainforest. So the redundancy of 2 engines and then the ability to, go long distance, do it safe, fly low and slow without worry of losing an engine.
So I guess specifically walk me through what I'm going to be experiencing here in a few minutes.
Well, you'll experience a dynamic, exciting takeoff.
Yeah.
Because it only uses about 100 feet of runway. So, and then we'll get up there.
So you're able to, this is able to get off the ground in less than 100 feet.
Well, maybe with you in there, maybe 150 feet.
Quick takeoff, are we going 100 miles an hour, or are we going, how fast are we going? What?
When we're cruising, it's at 70 miles an hour, and then when I'm doing photography, it's 40 to 45 miles.
Here we go. You spent a lot of time over the Tennessee River, right?
Yeah, 14 years of flying to do that last book.
Wow.
And probably 950 flying hours.
Wow. And it's a view that most of us don't get, that bird's eye view looking down on...
Well, it's the beauty of, and you see the light changing and the textures. Like up there, I see all the beautiful curves of nature and textures and the highlights on the river and the true shape of it. You can fly over a single place, like a waterfall, like up on top of Lookout Mountain.
Yeah.
And there may be not much water coming over, or it may not be autumn. But this one time, there was a special situation where I was flying over it, and it was like the last week of October, and the trees were all changed. It was beautiful, the color, and because it was a previous rain the week before, and there was a lot of water going over the waterfall.
Yeah.
And the lighting, because you got these high cirrus clouds, gave me a nice soft light. If it had been real hard light, it wouldn't have worked. You got to be up there and waiting for it to happen. You can't just say, I'm going to go do a great shot of this or that.
Yeah.
You just have to live in the sky.
How does the actual photography take place while you're up in the air?
I just let go and shoot.
Huh.
But I'm not that worried. See, even if it's in a bank, I still got time to shoot a picture and recover if you're, several hundred feet in the air.
So I'm going to get a perspective that even if I flew the same route in another plane, I'm not going to get, this is going to give me a fresh perspective, right?
Oh, yeah.
Today was unlike any plane ride I've ever taken. It wasn't really about high and fast, but instead it was all about low and slow. There were times I felt like I could reach out and run my fingers through the river. And as I mentioned earlier, for me, things have a tendency to go unnoticed. But today, with a limitless look at the land, this flight made me feel more in touch with Tennessee. Today, I didn't feel so much like I was chasing clouds, more like I was one of them. So far on this episode, we have gotten an up-close look at how the Hiwassee is a great place to let your sense of adventure take flight. And while I've built up my mind and my courage, so far I've somehow neglected my belly. So before the crew and I head home, we want to make one last stop and milk our visit to the last drop. All right, who's first? Cheese, cows, wows. For me, that says it all. I love cheese. I believe that cheese makes just about any food better. From American singles to the stinky gourmet stuff, I'm in. Grilled cheese and tomato soup? Yep. A glass of Cabernet paired with a bold cheddar? Don't mind if I do. As a self-proclaimed connoisseur, I've put a lot of thought into my cheese selections and their many culinary contributions. However, I've never really thought about how cheese is made. Today we are at Sweetwater Valley Farm, and I just want to warn everyone before we go in here. things are about to get really cheesy. Earlier you said a farmstead?
Right, farmstead process.
And what does that mean?
So that just means we're producing everything here on the farm and then it's going straight into our product. We put a lot into what our cows are eating, straight from the feed into their milk, and then from their milk to the cheese product that we produce.
So you know exactly, even from the food that they eat to where they stay, and that all of that then feeds into the quality of the product.
Right.
Someone coming here to the farm, what kind of interaction, what are they going to experience?
Yeah, sure. So they can come into the cheese shop, sample cheese, and we'll be able to talk to them about how we make our cheese here at Sweetwater Valley. And then we also do farm walking tours. So they can actually come down, kind of like you did today, and learn a little bit more about what goes into a dairy farm and what dairy farms look like today. But we just want people to know that dairy farms are good places and we're taking care of our cows here. You know, they're our livelihood on the farm. We're getting milk from them, so we want them to be healthy. We just want people to know that dairy farms are good and they help feed America.
So now we've seen where the milk comes from, and I guess the next stage is the milk turning to cheese, right? Can we go take a look at that?
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Let's go see how cheese is made.
After you.
Okay.
While today's Sweetwater Valley Farm cheese is produced in a state-of-the-art facility, they've preserved the fine art and craft of making cheese in the traditional farmstead manner, controlling the process from cow to consumer in order to create the highest quality of cheese.
We're making cheese like our mothers cooked. You know, a typical big plant today is just following a time clock. And they're just 1, 2, 3, 4 through the steps. We're following a recipe and we're tweaking our recipe. And so we're interactive, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So it makes our cheese a little more special. So Eric, down this way, you can see what we're concerned about now is just keeping these pieces broken up so they can keep expelling whey.
Okay. Now this is curd.
That's cheese curd.
Cheese curd.
So this is real cheese now.
I mean, is this edible as it is now?
Yeah, sure could. Yeah, take a bite of that right there. Not much flavor.
That's good, though.
When we add salt, we'll have some cheese flavor.
So this is the foundation, though, for all the cheese that you're going to make, right?
That's right. So
then what gives it the flavor? What gives it? Is it the aging process?
It's the aging process. Yeah. It's just the interaction over time of proteins and fats and salt.
And how much time are we talking then?
Oh, we won't have much flavor in this for 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a long process. People wonder when we're out of this or that why we don't have it the next week. It's a long process. If we're out for a few months.
Trying this, I want to go and try what the finished product.
Let's go try it.
Here we are in the tasting room, the storefront. It's the final stage of the cheese making process, which is going to be the tastiest stage. I get to taste the fruits of my labor. Sweetwater Valley Farm, white cheddar. Cheese, cows, wows. Whoop, whoop. In a time when more and more people want to know where their food comes from, Sweetwater Valley Farm has the answer. There's nothing artificial in their cheese, just high-quality milk and an old-fashioned approach. Today not only gave me a lot of food for thought, but changed my perspective on cheese. I now see why Chester Cheetah's always saying, it ain't easy being cheesy. There are over 1,000 cows on this farm, and each one gets milked every day. So basically, every second of the day, a cow is getting milked here. That is utterly amazing. So needless to say, a lot of work goes into making that cheddar here at Sweetwater Valley Farm. Delicious. As we check the morning weather report with fingers crossed for higher temperatures and watch as the greens outside our windows slowly turn to grays, this week has shown me that we don't have to feel like prisoners this polar season. Even in the winter, the outdoors of Tennessee has a story to be told, offering spectacles to be seen and experiences to be had. This week has shown me that no matter the season, the outdoors is dynamic, ever-changing, filled with multiple vantage points, perspectives, and variables that change the experience of the same place with each visit. But more than anything, I've discovered that there is a beauty in bundling up, an appreciation gained in the effort of getting there. And amidst the runny noses and chapped lips is a deeper feeling, a feeling of connection to the world around you. In the space between the trees and the silence of the cold stone and dirt, you can feel the power of the past and behold the beauty of the present. But I can only show you so much through this TV screen. It's up to you to get out and see it for yourself, to feel it for yourself, to hear the call of a sandhill crane as it comes back home, to run your hands over the names of those forced to vacate the hills we now call home, to get out and write stories among the streams and carve curves in the clouds for your children's children to one day recreate on a chilly day themselves. Yes, I believe there is a beauty in bundling up. So this year, give Jack Frost a true Tennessee welcome, double up your socks and step outside. You just might experience a winter moment that you'll have forever, frozen in time.